Were your industry peers surprised by this appointment, bearing in mind your history at this firm anyway?
Well, I've been investing for 10 years, so I have a number of amazing colleagues and peers in the industry, and I'd say it's been amazing to see the support and the outreach today. So I don't know if they were surprised, but they were certainly supportive. And
we can get into the portfolio, some of the investments you've made. I think, this is an interesting firm, a lot of capital to play with. Would you say that in your new position of leadership, will you change the investment thesis, the strategy from how it has been?
Well, we will keep building on the success we've had. So CapitalG, we're focused on investing in generational growth technology companies. So we typically invest in Series B to Series D of hyper-growth companies across consumer, enterprise. So some of the companies we invested in are CrowdStrike, UiPath, Stripe, Duolingo. So really amazing founders, amazing companies operating in big markets. And we make very concentrated bets. So we do a lot of work to really find and develop investment theses in the world's most exciting technologies and markets and companies, and then we make big investments. So we typically invest 50 to up to 200 million in these companies and partner with them over the long haul. So that's what's worked really well for us, and we'll continue to focus on that strategy, keep building a great team, and keep having a global focus.
You back them, and the anecdotes, the stories of how you back them, and in fact, the co-founders, the CEOs themselves, I think of Duolingo, how much they've said that your support in particular, Laela, was so integral to the building of the strategy of the business and, of course, the eventual really successful exit. And I think of UiPath as well, which, again, you wrote a check at a small valuation and it just absolutely went parabolic. But the way you had to chase UiPath down, for example, that's not the environment we're currently in, is it? Or are you still going to have to be that much more competitive than others?
Well, that's what's fun about the investing world is with the macro, things are constantly changing. And I do believe that you will still have to compete and work to invest in the very best technology companies. So you cited a few that I've been very lucky to partner with, UiPath, Duolingo. And the process of finding these companies does take a lot of work. It doesn't always mean chasing founders around the world, but it means digging deep into the investment theses and the opportunities that we think are going to generate the biggest returns. And then it means adding value to those companies. So once we partner and make an investment, we work really hard to be very active board members and to find different ways to support the companies, which is something that's quite different about CapitalG. Because Google and Alphabet are our single LP at CapitalG, we have a really large network of advisors inside of Alphabet, and these are technical advisors, go-to-market advisors, operational advisors that we can bring to partner with our companies on issues or challenges of scaling, and is a unique thing that we can do to add value. So we've helped companies on pricing studies, we've actually started the inside sales team for CrowdStrike in our office at CapitalG. So lots of different creative ways that we keep trying to be the best partner that we can, and I think that will help us continue to be able to invest in and partner with the best founders.
And now you've got to help companies scale, but with profit, not growth at all cost. I think of Stripe, of course, you co-led the Series D when it was worth $9 billion, and still, even with the potential down round we're seeing, it's their own readjustment of their pricing, it's still $50 billion. I mean, it's still extraordinary growth for this payments company. And I'm interested as to what advice you now need to give leaders such as the Collison brothers.
So it's obvious to everyone that the macro environment has changed markedly over the last 18 to 24 months. So I think it is true that companies are much more focused on profitability. But at CapitalG and all the companies we work with have always been very focused on the business model and on the unit economics and on not only growing quickly, but growing in a way that builds a sustainable, enduring business. And so I think the capital will be more expensive and harder to find for most companies, but those that have really strong business models will be able to continue to raise and will be able to continue to grow at really accelerated rates. So I think when you look back historically through the last few downturns and through capital markets that were harder, you see that some of the best companies were founded and funded and grew rapidly in those stages.
The third-party data shows a drop in activity or dollar deal value 2021 to 2022, but we had Matt Harris from Bain Capital Ventures on 24 hours ago. He says this is a buying opportunity right now. They want to be out there writing checks, basically. Are you in a similar position to him?
I completely agree. I mean, the reality is the macro environment has brought prices down, but they're still, and valuations down, but the quality of companies is still extraordinarily high. So we see, whether it's cloud, these secular trends like cloud computing, data, AI, driving really exciting opportunities in transforming businesses and creating large new opportunities. And you see so many more businesses out there looking for funding that are really adding value to customers, that are growing in more efficient ways, and the valuations have gone down. So even though it's a harder macro environment, we look at this as a time where we think we can make some of our best investments.
Caroline mentioned it a moment ago, and it would be remiss of me not to ask, but the information reported 24 hours ago that Stripe has cut its valuation by about 10%, still at $50 billion. You are involved or have done prior rounds with that company. What is your sort of response to that report?
So I won't comment on any particular fundraising round of any of my portfolio companies. I will say that Stripe is an incredible company, and so I've been loved being involved since we co-led the Series D in 2016. And I believe that it's one of the biggest markets and best teams in technology. So excited to be a part of it, and I think there's a long, long, long runway ahead.
I hope you appreciate why we have to ask the question. You mentioned at the beginning global, and Caroline and I are really zeroed in on that.
Yeah.
Where are the opportunities outside the United States right now, geographically speaking?
Absolutely. So one of the exciting things is that technology teams have been growing, going after global markets and growing globally for a long time. So if you look at some of our most exciting investments at CapitalG, companies like UiPath, Calibra, these are actually software companies that were founded outside of the U.S. UiPath was founded in Romania, moved their headquarters to New York, but has been a global operation from the beginning, so has accessed markets in Asia, Europe, the U.S., and I think you see most big software markets, for example, those companies are all growing their teams internationally and growing customers internationally much earlier in their growth cycle than they used to. So we look for those founding teams wherever they're starting, in India, in Europe, in the U.S., and we help partner with them to grow their organizations and their markets globally. So that's one example. We've also invested in several companies in India, China, and elsewhere. So we see opportunities in lots of different markets throughout the world.
China still.
So China, we've been spending less time on. We have made investments there in the past, but we've been spending less time there.
And therefore, from geography into industry group, because the breadth of your portfolio, the fact that you are B2B, B2C, whether you're in cybersecurity, in enterprise infrastructure, in language learning in many ways, I'm interested in where you're looking right now. Everyone talking about artificial intelligence. Is that a particular sweet spot, or where else do you think is enticing?
Yeah, so luckily for CapitalG, we have a large fund and we have a diverse and fantastic group of general partners. So we're able to cover a wide variety of sectors within technology. So we spend a lot of time in cybersecurity, data, business process automation, as well as consumer marketplaces, commerce, and as you just mentioned, artificial intelligence. So we see opportunities in lots of different places. On the data side, we've invested in Dataiku, Databricks. In the business process automation space, a theme we're really excited about is the growth of no-code software, which is visual application platforms that make it easier for people without technical backgrounds to come and build software, different applications, whether it's a website or a more sophisticated business process application, so a company like Webflow. In the AI space, we've been spending a lot of time, and that's an area that we're really excited. We can dig into advisors we have within Google to help us build and test our investment theses, and we think that AI is such a big opportunity. It's going to be a platform shift where probably the next Google, the next Microsoft is going to be born, as well as incumbents who have real strengths are going to incorporate AI into their business processes.